Hello again, on to number 4 for our Unit 3 review. Number 4, inverse functions. Given f of x equals 4x minus 2 to the 1/3 power minus 1. Find f of 2.5. So f of 2.5, this is A. So this is just asking to plug 2.5 into the function and evaluate. So I will plug in 4 times 2.5 minus 2 to the 1/3 power minus 1. Stick this whole thing in my calculator and I get 1. So f of 2.5 equals 1. There's A. Okay, moving on to B. Whoops. B. They want us to find the inverse of x. So that's what that little -1 means up there. It means inverse. So my original equation is f of x equals 4x minus 2 to the 1/3 power minus 1. Now remember, f of x can be interchanged with the letter y, and when I'm finding an inverse, the first thing I do is switch my x and y. So to find the inverse, I'm going to change it to x equals 4 times y minus 2 to the 1/3 power minus 1. And now I solve for y. So I use my reverse order of operations, SADMEP, and I start with subtraction. I do have subtraction in the parentheses. I'm not allowed to touch because the p is at the end now, so that has to wait until the end. But I can get rid of this minus 1 out here, so I'm going to get rid of it by adding it. So I get x plus 1 equals 4y minus 2 to the 1/3 power. I have no addition. I have no division. Multiplication I do have, but again, it's in my parentheses with that 4y, so I can't touch it. Getting to exponents now. Exponents 1/3. To get rid of a numbered exponent, we raise it to the power of its reciprocal. So 3 over 1. I really don't need the over 1 because anything divided by 1 is just itself. So this would just be to the 3rd power. So I get x plus 1 to the 3rd power equals, now that everything outside of my parentheses is canceled, I can drop my parentheses and go back to the start of SADMEP. So again, now I can get rid of the subtraction that I wanted to before by adding it, leaving me with, I'm just going to come over here, x plus 1 to the 3rd plus 2 equals 4y, and then finally dividing everything by 4. Now notice when I bring stuff over to the side with x, I don't combine things, I don't simplify any further, I simply just do exactly what I'm doing to one side to the other, and if there was a quantity there, I just put it in parentheses. So here is my inverse function that I just messed up by putting that box around it. Darn it. Okay, hold on. Let me fix it. Plus, this is to the 3rd power, 2. Okay, let me try my fancy box again. There we go. Okay, so that is our inverse function, and I can change the y to that f -1 of x to use the correct notation. So there is the inverse for B. For C, we're using the inverse function and plugging in a 1. So for C, I'm going to use that inverse function that I just had, which was f -1 of x equals x plus 1 to the 3rd plus 2 divided by 4. And for C, I'm plugging in f -1 of 1. So I plug in the 1 into the inverse for x. So this becomes 1 plus 1 to the 3rd power plus 2 over 4. And solving here, 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 to the 3rd power is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. So 10 over 4 equals 1.5. And there's our answer for C. D I'm going to do right here on this same page because I'm not going to go through the whole rigmarole of actually solving it, because anytime you have the function and its inverse working on itself, you always end up with whatever answer is in here. So this is going to equal 12. And there's nothing even involved in having to do any other math besides that. Just looking at it, recognizing that you have the inverse and its original, and they undo each other, so I'll just get back exactly what I put in, and I get 12. Moving on to number 5, using all properties of logs and rounding to the nearest thousandth. So starting out with A, this says 4.7 to the x power equals 28. Using the property of logs, the definition of logs, I get log of 4.7, 28 equals x. I have to use change of base because I can't put anything else in besides base 10. So this would be log of 28 divided by log 4.7, and that gives me 2.153. Problem asking us to round to the nearest thousandth, so I have to go out to 3 decimal places. For B, it says 4.7x squared to the x squared power of 2209 is what it's equal to. So still going to use that log. Log 4.7 as my base, 2209 is A, equals x squared. So I calculate log base 4.7, 2209 by using the change of base property again. Log 4.7 equals x squared. And this tells me that this is 4.9758 is x squared. And I solve for x squared by square rooting. So I figure out that x is equal to plus or minus 2.231. Remember, when you square root, you have to have that plus minus. Moving on for C, 2 times log of x equals 4.8. Divide out that 2 because it's in front of the log. Log of x equals 4.8 divided by 2 is 2.4. And now I'm changing from the log form into the exponential form, so this log has base 10, so this becomes 10 to the 2.4 power equals x, and 10 to the 2.4 power when calculated is 251.189. Again, going out to 3 decimal places because it says to round to the nearest thousandth. For D, log base x of 2.9 equals 1.2. Again, changing into exponential form, I have b, which is x, to the 1.2 power equals 2.9. I can solve the 1.2 power. I simply raise it to the 1 over 1.2 power, doing the same thing to the other side. This cancels, leaving me with x equals, and calculating that, I get 2.428. All right. Again, slow down, stop, pause, go back, whatever you need to do. I'm just going to keep on rolling. E, 2 times the square root of x minus 3 plus 4.5 equals 16. So using the reverse order of operations here, I'm going to switch up a color. I'm going to subtract the 4.5 from both sides because that's out from under my square root. X minus 3 equals 16 minus 4.5 is 11.5. Now also divide out the 2 because that's not part of my square root either. 11.5 divided by 2 is 5.75. So now I'm just left with the square root. When I have the square root, I have to undo the square rooting by squaring. So I square both sides. That makes this cancel, leaves me with just my x minus 3. And 5.75 squared is 33.0625. Adding 3 to both sides will then let me solve for x. So x equals 36.063. Again, going to those thousandths, 3 decimal places. Okay, moving on for I. I says 9,000 equals 500 times 1.065 to the x power. This looks like it could be a problem involving rates, where we have invest $500. When do you get $9,000 at a rate of 6.5%? Blah blah blah. Go through and solve. Divide by 500. That gives 18 equals 1.065 to the x power. Anytime you see this, you want to start thinking, oh, log. Okay, so log base 1.065 of 18 equals x. And again, I'm going to have to use change of base, so log of 18 divided by log of 1.065. And when we do that division, we get 45.897. Okay. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to stop and do one more screencast. Oh, I'm tired of hearing myself speak at this point, but I have to do J, K, L, and then number 6. So I'm going to put this on hold and do one more.